Hello, everybody, and welcome to another interview. This time around, I have talented character artist and designer Jared Fluegel. How you doing, Jared?
Good. How you doing, man? Oh, shucks. I feel flattered for that intro.
Great, man. Just
Thank you.
fine. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Yeah. I'm excited. It's good to see you.
So, Jared, let's go ahead and start with a little introductions here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where did you study? What training maybe did you had, and what helped you become the artist that you are today?
All right. So originally, I'm from upstate New York, Binghamton to be exact. And ever since I was little, I always liked to draw, cartoons and saw characters in my head, which is crazy as that sounds. But I had, loved drawing, and obviously I watched a lot of Nickelodeon. If you see my artwork, it kind of shows. Rocko's Modern Life was a huge influence of mine. Hey Arnold. And I always wanted to do that for my, living, and I always thought that's what I was going to do, And then eventually, it took me a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I ended up going to Art Institute of Virginia Beach, where I actually honed my skills and realized how I needed to be a professional, and focus on that. So that's where a majority of my skills came from that. And after that, was able to get a job in the industry. Huge learning experience because nothing really prepares you for that. You learn so much, just how to focus on details and meet deadlines, and I'm very fortunate that I can be a character designer.
That is a job that is so hard to get. So I know the effort that goes into it, man. Congratulations. So can you talk to us a little bit about how do you practice? How do you go about being creative?
That's always the everyday challenge. Some days you're not creative and some days you are, but you just kind of gotta find a way to kind of relax and draw inspiration from everything in life. For me, I like to play video games, so I get some inspiration from there. Watching TV shows, even like things that you enjoy doing, you can find inspiration from. Reading books. But it's a constant challenge. Creating characters sometimes it can be easy, and that you can visualize them right away, and sometimes you can be stuck and you don't know like what this character is supposed to look like. I was actually telling my girlfriend the other day that sometimes I go through so many drawings and I just chuck them, but that's part of the process to figure out if it's going to be good or not. You got to go through the crappy stuff to reach the good stuff. I remember I watched a documentary about Disney artists. They show them back in the day with paper, which, obviously doesn't happen as often nowadays, but they would crumple up the paper and they would have a big basket full of, garbage of paper that they've drawn. So even like the professionals that are like working for Disney have to go through that process as well. So you just got to fight through, the creative drought and find inspiration, and it will come to you eventually. Just got to keep pushing.
And that is true. Sometimes the inspiration doesn't come naturally, and just gathering that inspiration from everywhere around us certainly does the trick. So when you're designing, what do you consider is the most fun thing to design, and what do you think maybe is the least fun thing to design?
I have fun designing any kind of wacky character. I always like pushing the exaggeration. For me, I want like the character to like have crazy shapes and be able to be exaggerated to the extreme. And then sometimes I gotta reel myself back. When you try to design something that's you don't like, or so, if like a client, sometimes clients would be like, oh, I like this one, and you're like, no, like I don't want to do that one, So like sometimes you gotta find it in you to like they will decide what they want. You gotta go with it. So that could be like the hardest part. A lot of times, if you have a good working past with the guy, or the woman that you're working for, they'll know like that trust you more, and you can kind of make that decision because you're the artist, But yeah, when you start getting a role and you start like you see the character in your head, that's like the funnest, and you get to get them out there and it comes off naturally is the best, instead of trying to like struggle and then they keep saying no, it's terrible, and do it again. So
Yes,
really
no,
depends.
that can certainly be a challenge. Plus, it drains you because that I think motivation kind of goes away, by the fifth time or so that you're doing the same exact thing over.
Yeah.
But talk to us a little bit about that. How do you overcome, those creative droughts, or maybe working with something that you might not want to work with?
I mean, for me, I would like to take a break, like, because even if I take a break though, it's gonna still be on my mind for like, I'll like go take a shower or something, and it's still there. Like I'm thinking about it, and then sometimes, all of a sudden it will just hit you. Like you're like, okay, that's what I need to do. Like, let me go do that. And then it might even not be then. And then you think about it again, and then it like, okay, and then you get another idea. So you just kind of like work it through. You got to give it a little bit of time. I think that when I work, I try to time how long it takes me to create a character. Sometimes it takes me more time than I can count because I'm always thinking about that character. Even when I'm not working, doing other mundane things, but sometimes you need that little bit of space to be able to like figure it out. So you're not like so much pressure of like, now, figure it out now. You got to let it come a little more natural to you. And a lot of times it will come to you, and then they'll really like what you do. Just got to be, calm about it and take the time you need. Obviously not too much time because they're going to like, push you, but, at least take a little bit of break, take a walk, listen to some music, watch a TV show.
And maybe something as simple as taking a shower, like you mentioned, it can help you just refresh you, not only your physical body, but also your mind, because it just allows you to maybe just step out of that constant grinding. All right. So talking about inspiration, can you talk to us about some of your favorite artists out there?
Back in the day, I like Joe Murray, of course. He was the Rocko's Modern Life guy. He's still doing some children work for PBS, I believe, that I love. I just love his style. It's so simplistic, but yet iconic. Justin Rowland. Ralph Steadman. He was Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas guy. He did the books for those. I remember one more, Pete DeSevi. And a lot of them worked for The New Yorker. They did a lot of illustration work for that, which their work is just phenomenal. And I love how rough it is, because sometimes my work's very clean, or I try to keep it clean, because like that's very sitcom cartoons. But I love that they just use pencils and get like dirty with it and make these amazing characters.
What's your preferred medium and why?
It's funny because I used to just be, obviously pen. I like ballpoint pen in my sketchbook or my notebook or my school homework. That was like my main thing. And obviously now, as I got older, there's so much, like there's the Cintiq that I use now, Wacom Cintiq and iPad. Everything's so digital. But I honestly love sketchbook. There's something about working in a sketchbook that I don't think working digitally really helps you with, because there's so many cheating shortcuts. There's so many ways you can erase so easily. You can change forms so easily. It's nice. I love it. But at the same time, when you get to a sketchbook, it's almost just you get kind of a raw character out of what you do, or you're drawing out of what you do, because I always use ballpoint pen. I don't know if a lot of people do that, but that was always my medium of choice. And when I put a line down, it's final. It's good. And sometimes I struggle now because I'm like looking for the undo button every time I draw a line, So like it's good to go back and force yourself to draw in a sketchbook, because then it makes you a better artist. I do enjoy it, and I feel like I have more freedom on a sketchbook.
Now, I would like us to go back to the beginning. Since you graduated, what did you do and how things turned out so that you landed that first job? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I constantly searched online. I was like, at the time, I actually moved up to Fairfax with my girlfriend. She got a job up in Fairfax, which we knew nobody. So we had this apartment, and I was there, all the time by myself. I just graduated. I wanted to get in the industry. I remember you always telling us, like, now is the time you gotta get a job, because if you wait too long, it just is gonna peter out, and you're gonna, not get the job. You gotta do it now because you got the momentum. It's momentum. So I was constantly looking for jobs, and it even came to a point where I was like, this is like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. My parents like, maybe you should get like a job somewhere part-time, so like there was that thing, and you're like, well, maybe they're right, like I'm not getting anything. And then but the persistence of keep on going, and I like looked on art stations where I got the job, and I would look on there. I'd get emails from the automatic, like this, people looking for character artists, character designers, illustrators, whatever. And I would apply to everything. I mean, it could have been luck. I mean, I found this great guy who, works at a studio. He's the creative director, and he was really funny. The first thing he said was, in his thing was like, "Tell me I'm pretty," because like he was like a goofball and like he's funny, and that's the kind of artwork that I think I portray is like funny. I want it to be funny artwork and humorous, and it worked out great. And I mean, me personally, I feel like I grew so much as an artist from the beginning. Sometimes I look back at like what I was giving them and I'm like, man, I could have done so much better now, like that I gave them, but like it grew, and I feel like I grew as an artist pretty quickly though, and I was giving them stuff that was really good and professionally done, and I realized how detail oriented, because I wanted to do a good job, and it became what it is now, and it's consistent work. He contacts me all the time, and so that was a biggie. I got a job offer for a custom art studio, which they do like Rick and Morty caricatures basically of people.
Right.
Yeah, so Rick and Morty, I'm like, oh, I love Rick and Morty, so that's great. And it was actually a really good opportunity because I learned how to meld my style into a specific style. I mean, I felt like I could do it pretty good before, but so much detail, basically, that you need to make sure that's right. Like, if the elbows are pointy, they need to be rounded elbows. Like an eyeball can't be here, it's got to be over here. The ears can't be too high. Like it's a very particular thing, which which is true if you ever look at character design art sheets. Like if you ever look at Rick and Morty art book, which I got, they're very specific. You can't have like certain little things that like it will ruin the style. Like it has to be very specific. So when I did that, I started off. There's a Filipino girl who actually she's a very good artist. She does a lot of realistic work. I've looked at her stuff, and she would kind of critique your stuff and like kind of like fix this, fix that. And I feel like in the beginning I was like, man, like I have so much I have to fix, but like it actually made me a little bit more like detail oriented, where I have to make sure that things are specifically the way that they are.
And one thing I would like to mention about that is that formula that is so popular when deciding characters that has to be there. And I would challenge now anybody right here on the call to go ahead and try to draw Homer Simpson. If you get anything off, it just does not look like Homer. That is somebody else. You have to literally, like the eyes have to be a certain size in comparison to the head, the mouth shape, where the eyeballs are located, where you mentioned the ears, everything counts. And that is something that only when you reach that level of professionalism, of detail, like you mentioned, that you can actually reproduce accurately, because otherwise it's always going to be off.
There's going to be something off. Yeah, they'll take it, they'll throw it away. Like it's got to be exactly the way. And not only from that position, but if they turnarounds, turnarounds are difficult. You have to make sure everything lines up. You got to make sure that it's all smooth when they turn. Everything's got to be consistent. Hands, a finger can't be longer than the other finger. Like, got to make sure that the hands are perfectly, sized well. It can be, but that's part of the thing that, working at Custom Art Studio that I think I got the most from. And I'm glad I did it because it did make me, focus more on details. And, that's a big thing to take away as an artist.
What word of wisdom could you share with maybe people that would like to follow your footsteps?
Yeah, it's tough. You gotta just keep at it. Don't quit. If you love it, you'll get it. You gotta keep working. I'm still at the point where I need to keep working. I need to get better. I always need to get better. Everyone needs to get better. It's just a constant thing. Even people that have made it way beyond me probably feel like they need to get better. But it is. You gotta keep working at your craft. The best thing to do is to actually look at what is being produced and actually even just try to figure out the dynamics of it. How it's structured, how it's built, and then use it in your own artwork and just keep pushing and don't quit, because there's days that it's going to be tough. There's days you're going to want to quit. There's days you're going to want to go work at, Barnes & Noble. There's days you're like, this is just it's not going to work out. I'm not good enough. But you got to keep at it. You got to keep pushing. You got to, keep your eye on the prize, and, resiliency, like we said earlier, keep pushing and get yourself better and keep working, keep drawing, keep being creative. That's the big thing. And that's important for everybody, I think. But never even just making the plunge, you gotta make the plunge, you gotta do it. Just try it, take the jobs and see how it goes, and you'll learn from everything you do. So
Jared, thank you so much. I would like to now ask you to let us know how to contact you. If anybody would like to reach out to you, see your artwork, where can they go?
Jared Flueg, which is JaredFlueg Art ART. That's my Instagram handle. That's what I use for like everything. And all my artwork's always on there. I'll post everything. You can email at jared.fluegel@gmail.com. So, but the Instagram is where I'm usually at. You know, that's my favorite social media. So it's the best.
Guys, make sure you follow him. You will be very inspired by his art. It's very colorful, very wacky, very out of this world. So guys, make sure to check out his artwork. Jared, again, thank you so much for...
You're welcome.
All right, man.
All right, later.